So we're going to be breaking this video up into a few parts. Number one is going to be leather. Number two is going to be the build quality. And number three is going to be the differences between this and the 875. This is a versus video. I will have a versus video of the 875s versus these because my grandfather actually owns a pair of 875s. The first thing we're going to be talking about is the leather. How does it feel? How does it break in? And all that good stuff. The leather of this boot is called Oro Russet. Oro Russet is a Oro leather, obviously, but it is the original leather that they used back in the 1950s for these boots. I called Redwing, and that's what they told me, at least. The leather is a red color. It's a lot more red than what you would expect. When you look at the 875, a lot of people say, oh, it's an orange color. You look at it, yeah, it's orangish brown, but this is a very red color that should turn a little bit more brown over time, but not much. The leather isn't as hard to break in as a lot of other leathers, like the Oro Legacy, which they use on the 875 and the 877. It's definitely a color that's going to pop out, and it doesn't, obviously break in as long. It takes a lot less time. These things broke in within a week of wearing them. This is, I guess you would say a 1 week review, but this is mainly supposed to be more like an unboxing. The boots here have a different build quality than the 8877 or the 877. The biggest difference is right here where the stitching is. It's a regular stitch that you would see on your average boots, whereas the 8877 or the 877 would have a stitching across the boot like that. The other difference is obviously the leather, and then another difference is, and you'll get these on the 8877s, but on the 877 and the 877, the 8875s. Okay, yeah, sorry, I had that a little bit mixed up. But there's this special thing on the tongue that says Irish Setter Sports Boot that is on all Irish Setter Sports Boots. The other difference, the only other difference, is not even with the boots, it's the packaging, and that's the box you get. There is an old school, and it's, from the 1950s. I mean, it's not one that they manufactured in the 1950s, obviously, but they built it just like they did in the 1950s. And it has this Irish Setter Sport Boot label on there that gives you information on the size, the leather, the color, and all that different stuff right there. Has a old school 1950s style Redwing logo and branding right there. And on this side right here, it gives a message about Irish Setter Sports Boots and the quality and stuff like that. Something else with the build is it's, a lot of people are probably going to say, oh, the original 1950s had black eyelets. Well, true, but they also had the chromish nickel-plated eyelets that you see on this as well. It's just the black eyelets was a bit more popular because these pop out a little more, whereas the black, it's not like boom right in your face. Another thing about the build, that's common, just like with the 875s. This is the 8875s, by the way. It has a leather welt, a rubber midsole, and a traction tread outsole. So this is going to wear, as far as, how fast it wears and stuff, just like the 875s. And if you don't know, if you don't have a pair of 875s or a pair of traction tread outsoles, this is a softer rubber, meaning it's going to give you comfort, and it does. These are very comfortable boots, but it's also going to wear out a little bit quicker than what a regular Vibram Christie sole would. Personally, I prefer, because I don't weigh a whole lot, but so my outsoles last me, pretty long anyways. So I don't mind the softer rubber because it is a lot more comfortable. It's just the tread on that is very, not very deep at all, so it's going to wear out fairly quickly on the ball of your foot. So those would have to be replaced, in my experience, around a year. My first pair of traction tread boots I got almost a year ago, and they're in a shape where I would almost need a resole. I have this size in a 7.5. That's what I wear in Redwing mock toes. The inside is a leather insole. It's that's the hardest part of the break-in on this boot. It's going to take you the longest. It can take up to 3 months to break in a leather insole. And you're sitting there probably thinking, if you've never had a pair of old school boots like that, you're thinking, how does the inside of a boot need broken in? Well, that's because it forms to your foot. So leather, is made up of a bunch of fibers. When you're standing on it, 5 millimeters of it, it compresses to the shape of your foot, so it feels just like a customized, built for you pair of boots, which is a good and bad thing to some people, depending. If you're willing to go without, instant comfort for a little while, it's going to feel a lot better in the end. If you're not all about that, I would suggest getting some insoles for these, some regular insoles that you would find in a regular pair of boots. The other side of the build quality is stuff like you can't really see, is a leather heel counter that's right behind the back strap of leather right here. It's right behind there. It's a very tiny piece of leather. Then on the inside, there is a leather counter that's rough out leather. So your heel is not going to be slipping. At least mine didn't at all in these, even in the beginning stages before that really wraps around your foot. Mine hasn't done that yet either, but I still don't have any heel slipping. Those fibers on the outside wrap around your sock, and it keeps your foot from moving up and down the boot, meaning that you're not going to get any blisters. At least I didn't. A lot of people complain about the break-in of Redwing boots, but I've never really had a problem with them. Maybe it's just my experience. Maybe I just keep getting lucky with it, but I have yet to have a pair of boots that I have had a hard time struggling with. Now, if you wear tennis shoes all the time, and you've never worn any boots, or you've never worn any work boots, or anything like that, I could see why the break-in would be different, because with tennis shoes, you don't really have to break them in. And if you do, it's not going to be a very hard break-in. But with boots, it's a little bit different. And in my experience, I've worn nothing but boots since middle school, and they seem like very comfortable boots to me. Now, the last thing we're going to be talking about is the laces. The laces is regular Redwing laces that you get in any other Redwing boot. I got some bigger, longer laces for the 877s for these, because I like to, for one, tie knots in the end of them to where it's easier. I don't have to loop them up every time that I put them on and take them off. And number two, I tuck my laces inside of my boots because I don't like the laces showing. I think it looks a little sloppy in my opinion if your laces are out in the open on a pair of boots, but on these I tuck them in, and that longer lace seems to hold them inside a little bit better. So that is my unboxing / review of the Redwing 8877. It's a great boot, and I would definitely recommend it. It's just, for most people, it's mainly for the collectors out there, because it's a little bit more expensive for not much of a reason, actually. So I'll come out with a care process video of this in a while, a 1-month review, and then I'll be comparing these to the 877s and the 875s, so stay tuned for that. I appreciate you watching the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It would help me out a ton, and feel free to comment, because I love commenting back and forth with people. Even if you disagree with me, feel free to, because I do enjoy the commentary and stuff. So you guys have a good day, and I'll see you on the next episode.